Dawn off Venezuela. The first streaks aren't sunlight. They're 14.5mm rounds shattering into the stone's aft rails and antennas. Alarms, battle stations. One decision: evade, hold course, or return fire. Watch how the cutter used stabilized fire control to put 3 disciplined 57mm bursts where they mattered: engine line, gun mount, and upper structure, disabling the threat without a chase. Then we turn to the second battle. Caracas says misidentification inside its waters. Washington shows GPS and muzzle flash. Whose story holds, and what does maritime law say when the video rolls? Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Why would a patrol boat open with 14.5mm at first contact if it was a misidentification? And what did the stone do in 23 seconds that stopped the firing without sending anyone to the bottom? At 6:12 a.m., the USCGC Stone ran a counter-narcotics track in international waters off Venezuela. Seas were moderate, wind out of the east. The watch team had a radar skin closing fast, low profile, speed rising through 20 knots. The contact wasn't broadcasting on AIS. Bridge to bridge came up clean. The cutter's crew shifted from routine patrol to a ready posture. Combat systems lit up, EO/IR warmed, and a quiet deck turned into controlled movement. The contact kept closing, bearing steady, range collapsing. The first burst announced the intent. Heavy 14.5mm hammered the stone's aft rail and pinged off antenna mounts. No hail, no flashing light, no siren. Just the crack and clang of metal hits and the dull thud on superstructure. General alarm, battle stations. Damage control teams checked antennas and cabling runs while the bridge tightened helm orders and stabilized the ship's motion. If this was a mistake, it was a lethal one, and it came without warning. On the bridge, the decision triad came into play: evade, hold course, or return fire under the rules of engagement. ROE at sea separates hostile intent from hostile act. A vessel pointing a weapon with clear firing parameters can show intent. A vessel firing is a hostile act. A hostile act authorizes self-defense, within necessity and proportionality. That means stopping the threat with no more force than required. The team had to pick fast and execute cleanly. The fire control chain moved in a practiced sequence. EO/IR cued the contact. Radar slaved to the track to refine range and rate. The MK-160 gunfire control system calculated lead for the MK-110 57mm gun, accounting for relative motion, wind, and ship roll. Stabilization kept the barrel steady as the cutter rode the swell. The director fed bearing and range to the mount. The safety interlocks cleared. The gun captain got the solution and waited for the command. The first volley walked in forward of the contact's engine line. Not a broadside, not a spray. Rounds impacted low, starboard of center, forcing the patrol craft to shear away to keep prop and shaft clear. That cut its firing angle and broke the rhythm of the 14.5mm gunner. The second volley shifted to the threat system. The 57mm beat the mount into silence, fragmenting the cradle and jamming the traverse. No more heavy fire. The third volley raked the upper structures, bridge wings, mast roots, and sensor housings. The contact yawed, smoke vented, and the volume of movement on deck dropped. Here's why the caliber matters. A 14.5mm round is anti-materiel. It punches through light armor, engines, and flight decks. Doctrine treats it as lethal force, not a signal flare. At sea, warnings come with clear comms, distinct maneuvers, and non-lethal methods like flares or a low-caliber shot across the bow after identification attempts. Opening with 14.5mm skips all of that and creates an immediate self-defense scenario. Stone held discipline, no chase, no victory lap. The cutter steadied on a safe bearing, fire control still locked, ready to re-engage only if the contact resumed hostile action. Damage control verified comms resilience and antenna redundancy. Engineering confirmed no shaft or rudder hits. Medical stood by. The bridge logged times and actions for the record. The response matched the threat and then stopped, right where proportionality tells it to stop. 3 measured bursts ended an armed attack without a sinking. That's modern fire control used as a brake, not a hammer. Disable the gun, blind the sensors, force control of the helm, and leave the crew alive to disengage. The guns went quiet, but the next contest began. Who owns the story, and who owns the water around the track line where it happened? Caracas says misidentification inside its waters. Washington shows GPS tracks and a muzzle flash. If both can't be right, which claim survives maritime law? Start with the map. A coastal state controls a territorial sea out to 12 nautical miles from its baseline. That's full sovereignty. Laws, policing, searches. Beyond that runs the exclusive economic zone, out to 200 nautical miles. The EEZ grants resource rights, not the power to shove other nations off the water or bar law enforcement by foreign ships on the high seas. The stone's track sat 18 nautical miles off the coast, past the 12 nautical mile line. That placement matters because the legal switch flips at the 12 nautical mile mark. Inside, a state's rules govern. Outside, navigation freedoms return, and self-defense standards apply when someone fires. Venezuela frames the burst of gunfire as a defensive action near its jurisdiction, a confusion at dawn with a fast-approaching ship. The U.S. answer is blunt. The cutter ran a lawful patrol outside 12 nautical miles, received no radio challenge, and then took fire. Those two positions can't live side by side for long. One hinges on a boundary and a moment of mistaken identity. The other leans on a timeline. No hail, gun up, muzzle flash, return fire. The evidence stack narrows the gap. The cutter's position logs match the 18 nautical mile figure. AIS correlates movements with nearby traffic and timestamps the track line. Overhead eyes, P8 or unmanned ISR were present. Add an altitude view that ties a closing course to the same minute count. The video seals it. Time-tagged footage shows the patrol boat driving in with its 14.5mm mount elevated, then a visible muzzle flash. That sequence undercuts any claim that rounds were splashing as a signal. It shows a shot fired, not a light waved. Maritime lawyers point to one simple rule. A 14.5mm is lethal fire. It is built to kill engines and crews, not to whisper across a bow. Warning protocols at sea follow a ladder. Communications first, course changes that show intent to intercept, visible signals, then non-lethal steps like flares or, at most, a small caliber shot across the bow after identification attempts. Skipping the ladder and opening with 14.5mm reads as an engagement. That aligns the ROE box for self-defense and pushes misidentification out of the frame. This isn't the first time Caribbean waters have bent under EEZ confusion and hard-nosed intercepts. Counter-narcotics patrols push close to coasts, track smugglers, and sometimes run near national sensitivities. That friction does not erase navigation rights outside 12 nautical miles. It does amplify how fast encounters can spin when one side treats the EEZ like a territorial sea and couples that belief with guns up. The narrative strain shows on the inside as well. Reports that the Venezuelan patrol boat's captain was detained after the incident signaled a crack between the public line and the chain of command. If the shot was a clean defensive warning inside sovereign waters, a detention makes little sense. If the shot broke procedure and line, the internal move tracks with damage control, not with vindication. Put the pieces together and the mini payoff appears. Geographic data places the stone beyond 12 nautical miles. The caliber in the video's first flash strip away any defense that the rounds were a warning. That creates a legal and factual hole in Caracas's claim, one that law and censors both widen. Washington answered fast. Within minutes, USS Gravely and USS Porter set a shield around the cutter, a visible layer that warns off repeat attempts and broadcasts deterrence. The message wasn't shouted, it was sailed. The water around the stone now carried escorts with far longer reach. With the facts pinned to a line on the chart and a frame of video, the fight shifts. The next question isn't where it happened. It's why the story being told now will shape how hard the first move lands in the next encounter. If you want more breakdowns that separate narrative from navigation rights, subscribe and tell us which claim you want tested next. We'll pull the track lines and walk it, frame by frame.